please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction. So I'm once again very happy to talk to you. I didn't know that I have spoken already 4 times. So this is the 5th time. As you correctly said, the topic of today's talk is the Buddha Śākyamuni and the bhikṣuṇī Utpalavarṇā, formerly a courtesan in Gandhara Art. I'm going to develop this talk like a story, starting from these excavations in Sarderi, which is about 20 kilometers north of Manshera in the district of Hazara in northwest Pakistan, what we call the Gandhara. The excavations at Sarderi were launched in 1995 by the Tokyo National Museum and the Department of Archaeology of Pakistan and were carried out for 5 years. The excavations brought to light a stupa with cross-shaped floor, a plan, and a monastic complex similar to many of the Buddhist monuments in Taxila and elsewhere in Gandhara. So here I'm showing you the excavations in progress. You can see our Japanese colleagues and also Pakistani who were participating in the excavation. The trench is north-south trench of the principal stupa. As you can see in this trench, while they were excavating, they didn't find any sculptures. The whole structure was devoid of any reliefs. But in 1999, more than 130 sculptures and schist architectural elements were discovered in one of the cells in northern side, along with bricks, metalworks, and other finds. The sculptures were deposited in 3 places in the chamber. The Japanese archaeologists came to the conclusion that they were deposited there when the monastery was still in use or shortly before it was abandoned. So as you can see on the top photograph, the stupa doesn't have any reliefs. Normally there should be reliefs around the stupa. But when they were, extending the excavation, they found all the sculptures were hidden. So they were very lucky. So the center of my talk is this relief, which was found this way and which was exhibited in many places during an exhibition started in Bonn and came to Paris and all over the world. My keen interest is this depiction. I will come to that. So these are the catalogs of the exhibition, Pakistan, in French, and then we have the Buddhist heritage of Pakistan, starting from 2008, 2009, and went on. So regarding this beautiful sculpture, this is all what the catalogue had. For the first time, the large pediment arch with the depiction of the Buddha's descent from the Triathimsa heaven will be presented here, an image featuring iconographic characteristics hitherto unknown in Gandhara art, which will supply future research with important materials. So this is what the catalogue said. When I had a look at it, my curiosity aroused because that time I was teaching at the Yale University with my student and especially with Professor Phyllis Granoff and Professor Koichi Shionara. So although this relief was published in the exhibition catalogue of Bonn, Berlin, Zurich, and Paris, the symbolic significance of the Chakravartin, the universal king, riding the quadriga sculpted at the bottom to the left of the arch relief was not fully understood by those who have dealt with it. The Chakravartin depicted on this relief arch is Utpalavarṇā, the bhikṣuṇī who was once a courtesan, but eventually attained arhatship by becoming a pious nun. Quite curiously, before me, my colleague Yoshidi Koizumi published it in Japanese, correctly identifying Utpalavarṇā as the universal king. He wrote the notice for the exhibition, but the part that he discussed about Utpalavarṇā was taken out for a reason I really don't know, but later I heard, since I don't read Japanese, I came to know later. The relief is meant to narrate a very interesting story. Queen Maya, Maya Devi, mother of the Bodhisattva Siddhartha Gautama, we are told, died 7 days after her son, giving birth to the son, the future Buddha was born. After his enlightenment, the Buddha Gautama visited Thayatimsa or the Triatimsa in order to teach Abhidhamma to his mother, who was by then reborn as a god. So before 1 week, she went to the Triatimsa heaven and she was a god, no more a goddess. After 3 months and 7 days, the enlightened one, the Buddha, returned to the earth. The gods, through their heavenly architect, made him a triple ladder, with Brahma and all the gods of the Rupa Loka descending a gold ladder on the left, Indra, accompanied by all the Devas of the Kama Loka, coming down a crystal ladder on the right, and the Blessed One descending down in the center on a staircase made of pure lapis lazuli. The metallic or the components of the 3 ladders varies from one text to the other. I'll come to that. But the most frequent one is Buddha came down in a ladder made of lapis lazuli. Utpalavarṇā, the bhikṣuṇī or the nun, who was once a courtesan but eventually attained arhatship by becoming a pious nun. She was only second in the hierarchy of the Buddhist nuns order to Mahaprajapati, who was the stepmother or the sister of Maya Devi, who was the younger sister of Mahamaya, the mother of Bodhisattva Śākyamuni. It is said that a great crowd awaited the Buddha at the descent from Triatimsa. But the nun Utpalavarṇā, who would have, as we can imagine, preferred to be the first to greet her master, embodied by magic power, the shape and the appearance of a Chakravartin, and was admitted with a chariot and troops into the foremost row. So what we see here is this moment, the nun, a woman, becoming a man, not an ordinary man, but a Chakravartin, a universal king. Who is Utpalavarṇā then? Utpalavarṇā in Sanskrit or Uppalavarṇā in Pali means the color of the blue lotus. And the woman bearing this name has been given a prominent place in Buddhist literature. Sanskrit, Tibetan, Chinese, Pali, Sinhalese, and Japanese sources relate different stories about Utpalavarṇā. In some stories narrated in different sources, the episode of Utpalavarṇā paying homage to the Buddha descending from the Tavatimsa or Triatimsa is not mentioned. For example, in the Saddhammaratnavaliya, believed to be a work of the 12th century, written by a scholar monk, Elder Dharmasena, and thought to be the Sinhalese translation of the Pali Dhammapada Atthakatha of the 5th century, presents Utpalavarṇā as a woman of a noble family. She is so beautiful that she has too many suitors, and her father is afraid that ones who do not win her will be hostile to him. So he suggests that she enter the order of the nuns, and she agrees without contesting her father's will. The usual negative image prior to the ordination narrated in other sources is not mentioned in this text. According to a tale in a Vinaya Vibhanga of the Mulasravasthavādi Vinaya, extant now only in Tibetan and Chinese translations of the original Sanskrit text, Uppalavarṇā, after a series of misadventures, became a courtesan, seduced a perfumer's son, and became pregnant. Having given birth to a son and thinking that men avoid a woman with a small child, she decided to abandon her child. She does the same to her newly born daughter. So I have given the reference, the article by Jonathan Silk. According to a story in the Jataka Sutra used by Dogen in his chapter, Kesha Kudoku, Utpalavarṇā was a prostitute in the past life who put on monk's robe for fun. The Buddha of that time predicted her future Buddhahood from the merit of that act alone. In her second birth, she became a nun at the time of Kashyapa, the Buddha, and in her third birth, she became a great Arhat and the time of at the time of Śākyamuni Buddha and accomplished the 3 types of knowledge and 6 miraculous powers. In the commentary on the fourfold rules of discipline written in 630, this again Dao Sheng, the founder of the Nashan branch of precepts school in China, we read how Utpalavarṇā came to renounce the secular world. Just at the time she gave birth to a daughter, she discovered that her husband was having an illicit relationship with her mother and ran away from home, leaving her baby. Later, she became the wife of a rich man in Varanasi. When the new husband brought home a second wife, however, Utpalavarṇā realized that the woman was her daughter. Sorrowing over her destiny, she renounced secular life and became a disciple of the Buddha. Thereafter, she engaged in Buddhist practice under the guidance of Mahaprajapati and attained the state of an Arahat. When Devadatta rolled a huge rock down on the Buddha in an attempt to kill him, she reproached Devadatta for his evil act, whereupon Devadatta beat her to death with his fists. Regarding the descent of the Buddha and the transformation of Utpalavarṇā as a Chakravarti and again as bhikṣuṇī, these are the main texts. Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra of Nagarjuna, Ashokavadana in the Divyavadana, Therigatha in Pali Canon, Chinese Buddhist monk Fasian's account, and Tibetan Buddhist canon as well. Those are the main texts of interest. In the Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra of Nagarjuna, it is written that Utpalavarṇā, in order to conceal her disreputable sex, transformed herself to a noble king, a Chakravartin, with his 7 treasures and his 1,000 sons. Seeing her arrive, people got up from their seats and let him proceed. So here him means her. This fictive king came closer to the Buddha and took his original form, becoming a nun, a bhikṣuṇī again. Thus, Utpalavarṇā was the very first to worship the Buddha. Although Utpalavarṇā was very pleased to greet the Buddha first, the Buddha told the bhikṣuṇī that it was not she who worshipped him first, but Subhuti or Sariputra. When Utpalavarṇā asks the Blessed One, how was it possible? The Buddha's reply was, Subhuti, by meditating on the emptiness of all the other dharma, saw the body of the dharma, meaning dharmakaya, of the Buddha. He found the true form of worship, the puja. Then the Buddha said to her, to worship his body at birth, which is Dhammakaya, is not the true way to worship him. So I have given the French translation of Prajna Paramita Sutra. The Ashokavadana, or legend of King Ashoka, we read that Pindola has witnessed Utpalavarṇā's magical creation of a Chakravarti. According to the earliest Indian sutras, Pindola was one of the arahats asked by the Buddha. Then again, great king, this is what is written, I was there when the Blessed One, surrounded by a host of deities, came down into the city of Sankashya from Triatimsa heaven, where he had spent the rains retreat among the gods, preaching the Dharma to his mother. At that time, I saw the achievements of both gods and men, including Utpalavarṇā's magical creation of Chakravarti. So here also we have another account how she became a universal king. And then in Therigatha, Utpalavarṇā says how she concealed herself by transforming herself into a Chakravarti. With chariot and horses 4 I came, made visible by supernormal power, and worshipped wonder-working at his feet, the wondrous Buddha, sovereign of the world. So I'm quoting from Rhys Davies' translation, and also there's a recent translation by Charles Hallisey. So again, we see the same event that she definitely changed herself. The Chinese Buddhist monk Faxian, who traveled to Nepal, India, Sri Lanka to acquire Buddhist scriptures between 399 to 412 CE, reports that on the day when the Buddha descended from Thrice, the great kings of 8 kingdoms and ministers and people, not having seen the enlightened one for a long time, assembled to greet him. At this time, according to Faxian, Utpalavarṇā thought, quote, "Today, the kings of the countries and ministers and people are going to worship and meet the Buddha. I am but a woman. How can I get to see him first?" Quote ends. Contrary to the other texts, Faxian says it was the Buddha, forthwith by his miraculous power, transformed her into a holy Chakravartin king, and as such, she was the first to worship him. Then we have the Tibetan Buddhist canon. It is also said that Utpalavarṇā, having seen the Blessed One, descended from Thrice, took the appearance of an emperor and came to honor him. The king Uddiyana, who was also there, recognized her by the sweet odor that her body emitted. So these are the texts relating the story of Utpalavarṇā, the bhikṣuṇī, nun, becoming a king, not a normal king, but a universal king, Chakravartin. So she could go to the last steps of the ladder and then worship the Buddha. So this is what we see in this arch. So I'll try to explain it. First, we have King Uddiyana. King Uddiyana was the king, local king of Sankasha. So you can see him riding a quadriga, a chariot driven by 4 horses. And then on the other side, we have Utpalavarṇā as Chakravarti. So you may ask me, how do you know this is Chakravarti? So for a Chakravarti, normally if you read Lalita Vistara or Chakravarti Sehanada Sutta of Digha Nikaya, it says that once, let's say Buddha says, once monks, there was a wheel-turning monarch and was possessed of the 7 treasures. So these are the 7 treasures a normal universal monarch should have. First is the wheel treasure, then the elephant treasure. So he should have an elephant, and he should have a horse, and he should have a jewel treasure, manikya, and then a woman treasure, that means a good wife, a queen, and also household treasure, descendant, and also counselor or a prime minister. So these are the 7 treasures of a Chakravarti. So this is exactly what we see here. You have the king in the middle with Abhay Mudra, and 2 women on either side. They are riding the chariot. The chariot is driven by 4 horses, and to make the spectators know that he is a Chakravarti, around him there are these 7 treasures. These are, of course, quite common motif. This is from Andhra Pradesh and also Kanaganahalli and other places. You can see again the 7 treasures. And also when the Chakravarti raises his right hand, the coins and food and other things will fall from the sky. This is what you can see over it. You have Panchmark coins. They are falling from the sky. So this is the good nature of a good king, a universal king. Having that in mind, right? So we see the rest of the arch. The 2 Buddhas seated in meditation depicted at the top of the arch may be the Pratyeka Buddhas. In Theravada Buddhism, the Pratyeka Buddhas have also awakened from the sleep of ignorance and have reached the end of the compulsive cycle of rebirths, but they do not teach others. Their dwelling place is Mount Gandhamadana. There you can see they are in a rocky atmosphere, and you can see a tree. So upper level you can see the Pratyeka Buddhas. And then we have the gods. on our left-hand side, Brahma, creator, and on the right-hand side, Indra, the god of the supreme god of the Hindu or Brahmanic pantheon. There should be Maya Devi, because normally she is no more a woman but a man. But we will see how these things change. So they are listening to Buddha very carefully. You can see there with the arm against the ear. So he is preaching the Abhidhamma, one of the most important philosophies in Buddhism. And then we come one stratification low, which is the Nagaloka. You can see we call them Nagas because you can see the cobra hoods behind them, single or multiple five-headed. So this is another word of the Nagas or the Nagaloka. And then we come to the Manushya Loka, the world of ordinary human beings depicted or symbolized by Utpalavarṇā on one side and the local king Uddiyana on our right-hand side. And then you have other, the people in Anjali Mudra or with their hands together, venerating the Buddha who is coming from the heaven. So I have to insist, the middle panel was not found. So we have to imagine, we will come how we can restitute it. During the excavations, middle panel was not found. So we have to imagine Buddha coming down from the heaven in these three ladders, one for Brahma, one for Indra, and Buddha in the middle. So these are the other reliefs. So having studied this relief, I published it in 2011 in search of Utpalavarṇā in Gandhāran Buddhist Art, which was the collection in honor of Antonio Ivernizzi. While I was in Tokyo in Kyobushi area, in one of the shops, I saw this fragment on our left-hand side, and I immediately understood it is the part of the panel which is missing. This is after I published the article. So on the right-hand side, it was found during the excavation. On the left-hand side, it was found in a shop. So of course, the Japanese scholars were informed, and when the Japanese scholars published this wonderful report, they included the photo. So we have now almost a complete arch, but without the middle panel where we should see the descent of the Buddha. So when I published the book, When West Met East, so I proposed this drawing now with how it looks like. And this was fixed into an arch. You can see the other parts. The below we have Buddha when he came down after 3 months and 7 days preaching in the heaven. He came to the world of the humans and he preached there. And there too, the middle panel is missing. So according to the Pali Dhammapada commentary, the miracle of Sravasti was followed by the visit of the Buddha Gautama to the Triatimsa, or the heaven of 33 gods. This is Indra's heaven, to preach the Abhidhamma to his mother and other gods and his descent to Sankasha. So this is in a Pali text, Dhammapada commentary, or the Dhammapada Attakatha. So if you go to Sanchi, I am showing you the North Torana. Normally in Sanchi, there is no chronological order and chronological sequence, but the scenes are scattered, but they are all related to the same event, meaning the 3 miracles that Buddha performed. So on the inner side, inner face of the east pillar, we can see King Bimbisara leaving Rajagriha to meet the Buddha, because Purana Kashyapa, an heretic, and his 5 disciples challenged the Buddha to perform a miracle, saying that they can perform better miracles. So King Bimbisara said, Buddha is not going to accept your challenge. Anyhow, he went to see the Buddha. So here you can see King Bimbisara visiting the Buddha at Venuvana. So we can immediately recognize this is Venuvana because of the bamboo trees. as you know, in Sanchi, Buddha is not represented anthropomorphically, meaning the human form. So here we have Buddha symbolized by a throne, and you can see King Bimbisara that I colored in yellow, asking telling the Buddha that the Purana Kashyapa is challenging you to make a miracle. And Buddha says, yes, I accept the challenge, but I do the miracle in Sravasti. So what we here see on the face, the front of the east pillar, on the top is the mango miracle of mango tree. When Buddha met Bimbisara, he told Bimbisara, I will perform I will display the miracle, but the miracle will take place in Sravasti in the mango grove. So Purana Kashyapa, what they did was they destroyed all the mango trees. So there was no mango tree. So thinking that Buddha cannot perform the miracle because there are no more mango trees. But fortunately, the keeper of the garden came with a mango and offered it to Buddha. So Buddha ate the mango and asked the gardener to plant it. So Buddha washed his hands over the place where the seed was planted, and miraculously a mango tree grew up. So what you see here is the miraculous appearance of the mango tree. So Buddha could perform the miracle. And then to tell us that this is taking place in Sravasti because, you know, Anathapindika gave Jetavana or offered to Buddha Jetavana by spreading coins on the floor. So now we are definitely sure this miracle was taking place in Sravasti. And then, according to the Pali Dhammapadartha Katha, in the miracle, of course, the water was coming from the shoulders and water and sometimes fire from the feet, the opposite. If the shoulders were, had fire, the feet had water. If feet had fire, the shoulders were sprouting water. So what we see here in Dhammapada, that he was walking in a dual walkway. So in Sanchi, it is not the Sanskrit text which is respected, but the Pali text. I'll come to that. So this is what we call the dual miracle or the twin miracle. Water coming from the feet and also the fire from the shoulders, or water from the shoulders and fire from the feet. These are all from Begram area that you can see from Greater Gandharan sculptures. And then below that we have King Prasanna visit to Buddha. This was before the miracle. He went, on behalf of Purna Kashyapa to see the Buddha. And then he said, you are challenged by them. Buddha accepts, and he did the miracle. And immediately on the other side of the west pillar, we can see the descent of the Buddha from the heaven of the 33 gods. So this is what you see. Buddha is represented on the top above with a tree symbolizing him in a way. And then you have the ladders, and bottom we have another tree symbolizing the Buddha has come down to the earth. On either side, you have Brahma and Indra. Same thing is happening also in Bharut Stupa, which is, can be dated to the 2nd century BC. You can see the walkway of the Buddha, and also the 3 events taking place: Trayatrimsa heaven, Buddha at Sankasha, and mango tree. So my argument is, this is of course not the aim of today's talk. Bharut and Sanchi were inspired by a text which is lost today, but which is very close to the translation from Sinhala into Pali by Buddhaghosa in Sri Lanka of the 5th century. So this text is quite different from the Sanskrit text, like Lalita Vistara, Buddha Charita, Mahavastu, Mula Sravasthavadi Vinaya. It's a different text. So this is quite interesting. But anyhow, in this text, which is the most ancient one, the descent of the Buddha is very well described. This is the reason why we see his descent. And also from Kanaganahalli, which was excavated quite recently in northern Karnataka, Buddha is not represented the human form, but and also it says descending from the gods. And here we have on the top of it, Buddha is symbolized by the footprint, and then you have the gods descending to him, and then on either side Brahma and Indra, and at the very bottom we have here the footprint of the Buddha, and the gods are venerating him. In any of these, you don't see Utpalavarṇā. In the early text, Utpalavarṇā is missing. Buddha went to the Thrice heaven and he came down. Same thing here in this sculpture in Mathura Museum. You can see right in the middle Buddha in Abhay Mudra, on our left-hand side Brahma in his ascetic attire, and on the right-hand side we can see Indra, but no Utpalavarṇā. But in this sculpture, which is in the Mathura Museum, you can see a woman. I mean, it's, the rest, of course, all symbolically depicted. On the top, we have, to symbolize the Buddha, his jata, and then the three ladders. Why I say this is a woman, if you observe the body of a woman, it's exactly in this way that you can see it's not a body of an ordinary man. So just to give you an idea, I don't know how many of you have seen a bhikkhu or a Buddhist monk. On our left-hand side, on the right-hand side, we have a bhikṣuṇī or the upasika, the women. So this is how they venerate, to get an idea. In Mathura Museum, there's another one, another sculpture from Rajghat. It depicts most important events of Buddha's life. Here we have the birth of Siddhartha. Maya is holding the branch of the sal tree. And below you have Buddha or Śākyamuni or the Bodhisattva walking over the lotus flowers. On either side we have Brahma and Indra. And then we have the Mara's attack. Mara is aiming with the bow and arrow, and also Mara's daughters dancing to attract the attention of the Buddha. So this is the defeat of Mara and the enlightenment of the Buddha with Bhumisparsha Mudra. And then we have the first sermon. So Buddha is preaching at Sarnath, and then we have the passing away or Mahaparinirvana of the Buddha. But right in the middle, you have the descent of the Buddha. On the top, we have again Patra, the begging bowl, Jata of the Buddha, and then we have the three staircases with Brahma and Indra. And here we have a nun, a woman. So this should be Utpalavarṇā taking the form of a nun. So these are the early depictions, but we can see later during the Gandharan and later periods, it becomes quite evident. If you come to Gandhara, this is one of the most ancient ones found inside the Sharif by the Italian excavators in Budgara. You can see the three ladders or three staircases. On our left, Brahma, on our right, Indra, and there is a woman in the middle touching the feet. That means the feet of the Buddha. Buddha is not depicted in human form, but symbolically with his feet. So you can see she looks like a woman. You can see the form of the body. So the figure at the bottom of the middle ladder touching the feet of the Buddha is no doubt Utpalavarṇā, in the state of having resumed her original form as bhikṣuṇī. Her long hair and sleeves covering both shoulders, and the shawl or the extremity of the Uttarya thrown on the back or the left shoulder indicate very clearly that the figure in question is of a bhikṣuṇī and not of a bhikkhu or the monk. This piece in the Indian Museum of Calcutta, found in Lorient, Tangai. The photograph was published by Alfred Fouché. So if you go to Calcutta, the right side panel is missing. You can only see the left side panel. I mean, during the transportation, as you know, the sculptures found in Gandhara, they were distributed all over India, not only India, but also in England, like British Museum, Ashmolean and Fitzwilliam and other museums. So the right-hand side is missing. But if you take into consideration, you can see in the middle Buddha, on the left Brahma, and then Utpalavarṇā arriving on elephant back, and you can see Utpalavarṇā venerating the Buddha with the hands high up in Anjali Mudra. This was one of the earliest sculptures depicting this event, published by Fabry. So this is what Fabry says. There are not less than 70 persons and 5 horses sculpted and arranged in a skillful composition. It's a wonderful composition, how it is depicted. Let's have a look. In the center, on a triple staircase leading from top to bottom, the Buddha appears thrice in Abhay Mudra, flanked by Indra and Brahma, who turn towards him with hands folded in worship or in Anjali Mudra. On both sides of the staircase, 4 horizontal rows of heavenly beings are turned towards the Lord in adoring attitude or throwing flowers. They are kneeling and standing in alternative rows. And then we have the earthly realm is represented by 2 rows of human beings. Gods of the heavenly realm can be distinguished from the humans by their halos. One of the 2 figures riding the horses could be the King Uddiyana on the right-hand side in the red frame. One of the 2, Fabry correctly identifies the king in the chariot, drawn by 2 relatively quite small horses with suit as non-emperor or Utpalavarṇā. As you can see here, he is in the chariot. Then this one was published by Solf, which is in the British Museum. You can see the design. Now I'm not going to repeat on all the depictions that I am showing you. Buddha is in the middle, normally middle staircase with Abhay Mudra, and on our left-hand side Brahma, on our right side Indra. And then we have a female figure at the foot of the staircase venerating the Buddha. This is another sculpture from Gandhara in a private collection. The section where Utpalavarṇā should be is missing, but on the top we have Buddha preaching in the Thrice heaven. This is from Peshawar Museum, and you can see once again Utpalavarṇā at the foot of the staircases. And here in a private collection, once again Brahma, Indra, Buddha, and Utpalavarṇā. This is in Kyoto Museum. First we see in the middle panel Buddha in Thrice heaven preaching, and we can't differentiate Maya because now she's a god, not a goddess. So Buddha is preaching, and then we have the descent. Buddha in the middle. The one who is arriving from our left on the elephant back should be Utpalavarṇā as a man, as Chakravartin, or as a universal king, and taking form of a woman. This beautiful sculpture, which is in a private collection in Japan, depicts very beautifully all the events. First of all, we have Buddha in the heaven of Indra, preaching to the mother, and Indra, Brahma, and other gods. And then we have the descent. On the right-hand side, we have King Uddiyana in the chariot, driven by 4 horses. On the left-hand side, we have Utpalavarṇā as Chakravartin, as a man, and right in the middle, she has changed her sex. She has become a woman now. She is venerating the Buddha, who is climbing down from the heaven. And then below, we have Buddha preaching to the humans after he came to the earth. Now, this was quite popular in all forms of Indian art. So I'm giving you not only Indian, but all the Asian art. Now, this is from Magadha, from Bihar, which is in the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco, with the events related to Buddha. First, we have the enlightenment, because he is in Bhumisparsha Mudra, and below we have the earth goddess. And then we have a monkey offering honey to the Buddha when Buddha was hungry. And then we have Domti Nalagiri. And then here we have Utpalavarṇā. You can see this very clearly shows, because of the pronounced breast, that she is a woman. This is the moment that she has become a nun again, not as a man. And this is from the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto in Canada, and it belongs to the Pala period, Pala style from Bihar. And here again you have Utpalavarṇā. They take additional care to show her as a woman, showing her breasts. And behind her you have Brahma with the water pot, and on our right hand side Indra holding a chatra or a parasol. So let's go to Ajanta. We go to cave number 17, which has a beautiful depiction. I'm showing the photograph and the drawings from the book by Shinglov and Monica Singh, where you have on the top Subhuti Sariputra, who was also listening to Moggallana, listening to the Buddha preaching because they wrote it down. And on the right-hand side, we have Nagaloka. And on the left-hand side, we have Maya Devi, or the mother of Buddha. Normally, she shouldn't be a woman here because she was born as a man, as a god in the heaven of Indra. But for a normal person to understand where Maya should be, the only way to do it is to show her as a woman. So here she is a woman, and according to the sacred text, she shouldn't be a woman, she should be a man. But here she is depicted as a woman. And then the descent of the Buddha with Brahma and Indra, and we can, here it is, Buddha in the middle. And then we can see Utpalavarṇā arriving. It's very ambiguous because Utpalavarṇā is half man and half woman on an elephant back, as the framed by the red color one. And then you can see she could be a man or she could be a woman, but she comes as the Chakravarti, the universal king. And on the other side, we have Uddiyana, the king, the local king, riding also elephants, and also his entourage. You can see this is what I normally showed once. Most of the people in the picture are not Indians. They could be Africans or Ethiopians or Sassanians, as you can see from their headgears and also their bearded figure. So these should be the merchants or the traders who finance the thing. So these are their selfies. They must have asked the painter to show their figures. So you have Uddiyana with these traders or merchants behind. So here is the assembly. Buddha is preaching now. On our left-hand side, we have King Uddiyana. And on the right-hand side, we have Moggallana, Sariputra, and all the other disciples. So the question is, where is Utpalavarṇā? So the bhikṣuṇī or the nun that you can see here, that I put in purple, should be Utpalavarṇā. Now she has taken her original form. Now she has become a woman. Here we are. So this is, that one is from Ajanta. Now we go to Pagan in Burma. As I told you, it's a wonderful place to go up. There are about 3,000 monuments. I took these photographs around 7 o'clock in the morning in a balloon with the sunrise. So you can see it's like a forest covered with the monuments. I'm taking you to this temple. It's monument number 1580, founded in the 12th century, beginning of the 12th century. And here inside the temple, we have these paintings, quite interesting. The Buddha is restored after the earthquake. Around the Buddha, we have the events related to the life of the Buddha. First, we have you have Buddha right in the middle in Bhumisparsha Mudra. Starting from below, we have the birth of Siddhartha. Over it, we have the twin miracle, and then Utpalavarṇā on the top. And we go to left-hand side, we have the monkey offering honey, first sermon, and Nalagiri on the top, Mara Sattva. So here we can see very clearly. Below is the miracle of the mango tree. And also the twin miracle that Buddha is multiplying himself. On the top of it, Buddha is coming down from the staircase, and the person here is the twin miracle, and you can see very clearly it is a woman. So on the left-hand side, Brahma, on the right-hand side, Indra, and Utpalavarṇā as a bhikṣuṇī, a nun venerating the Buddha. So you can see how popular this legend was, legend in the sacred text. Again, on the left-hand side of the Buddha, this huge mural painting shows the same events. So here is the Buddha ascending towards the heaven of Indra, Triatimsa heaven, while King Prasanna is in the mango grove. And then on the top, you can see Buddha preaching to his mother and to the other gods. So you can see on either side, the gods are listening to him. And then Buddha decides to come down. So you can see he's coming from Thrice heaven, and the staircase with Brahma and Indra, and Utpalavarṇā as a nun, as a bhikṣuṇī. I'm taking you to Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, there is no tradition of mentioning Utpalavarṇā at the moment that Buddha descended from the Thrice heaven. There are so many stories about I mean, how his father refused to give to anyone his daughter, but they don't say that she was there when Buddha descended from the Thrice heaven. So there's this beautiful painting. Buddha is descending with Brahma and Indra. As you can see here, there is no Utpalavarṇā. There are gods and also kings, but she is not there. But if you go to, for example, to Thailand, this is a very famous stucco. You have Brahma and Indra. And again in Thailand, you can see Buddha coming down from the lapis lazuli and the other staircases. Right where I have put the yellow frame, you can see Utpalavarṇā as a bhikṣuṇī, and on the bottom we have others. And again another one, this is a close-up where she is a woman, so she is no more a Chakravarti. Again another one, these are all 19th century to 20th century paintings. The tradition continues, which is in the Asia Society in New York. Buddha is coming down from the heaven, and you can see the kings and queens, and they are all there to venerate him. This painting is in the Walters Museum in the United States. That's a quite beautiful one. You can see Buddha preaching, and on the left-hand side, you can see a woman, and she has to be Maya Devi, Buddha's mother. And then Buddha coming down from the staircase. On either side, you have the gods. And here, at the same time, they depict also the twin miracle, or the Yamaka Pratiharya, where Buddha took 5 positions. One is standing, sitting, walking, reclining, and elevating. So all the positions are depicted here. And below, you have Purna Kashyapa, who did not, who contested the Buddhahood. They all go to the Avicii hell. The hell is depicted here. The hell is here with some British soldiers. They also, you have to see during this time Burma was under the British hegemony, so they all go to the hell. Now I come back to Gandhara. I am going to discuss precisely 3 sculptures. This sculpture was not understood by anybody, which is in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. In the middle, Buddha is depicted coming down from the staircase. He is in Abhay Mudra. And then on either side, you have Brahma on our left, Indra on our right, and all the other gods. Earthly realm is depicted by King Uddiyana, who is in Anjali Mudra. And then if you look at the other side, you have Utpalavarṇā as Chakravarti, as a man. And here we have the transformation, how the man is becoming a woman. I don't have to explain. If you look at the body of the person, you immediately see this is a woman, not a man. So this is the moment that a man is becoming a woman. And here we have, she has now become completely a woman, a bhikṣuṇī, and she is there to venerate the Buddha. This is one of the earliest depictions in the world where you can see the transformation from man to, from woman to a man and man to a woman. So this is the transition of the event. And then this beautiful sculpture, when I first published it, it was still in Japan, now in the Singapore National Museum. Some of the parts are missing. So at the center of the panel, the Buddha, Indra, Brahma are depicted thrice in different attitudes, right? So here we are. Brahma, it's very easy to identify on our left because he is dressed like an ascetic. And on the right-hand side is Indra because he has the Vajra or the thunderbolt in his left hand, sometimes in both hands. And then the Buddha standing on the sixth step of the staircase, holds Uttarya in the right hand, while the left hand is held against his chest. The Buddha in the middle seizes the extremity of the Uttarya by his raised left arm, and the right hand held in Abhay Mudra. The Buddha standing on the last step makes the same gesture from his right hand, but holds the extremity of the Uttarya from the lower left hand. So you can see it's very clearly, Buddha is not depicted in the same attitude on the top. You see in the middle and the last one, he is in Abhay Mudra. On the top, he is in a different, and the way that he steps down is also different. And also the reddish color is a chemical that normally used when the gold foils were applied over the sculpture. So it has also some traces of paintings. I'll come to that. On the right-hand side, Indra, standing to the left of the Buddha, holds the Vajra at least in two different ways. First, from the left arm on the uppermost depiction, and from both hands on the lowermost depiction. It is noteworthy that Indra is dressed in three unique ways, and jewelry and the headdress. He wears also executed differently. Unfortunately, the Vajra held by Indra standing in the middle of the ladder is broken. However, judging from the silhouette, it is almost certainly held with the lowered left hand. So you can see Indra also descending in three different ways. Same thing with Brahma. Of course, on the top, apart from the Brahmanical top knot, Brahma is shown sometimes with long hair. First two upper depictions, sometimes with short hair, lower depiction. His standing posture is intensified by the positions of the legs and the gentle déhanchement, flexibility of the body. The Uttarya is worn in three different manners. On the middle depiction, the Uttarya is shown blown by the winds, leaving the Paridhana exposed. So it's a beautiful depictions of how they were not repeated identically. They are sculpted in three different ways. And then you have on either side of the main scene, we observe successively layers of multi-stories edifices, each with a balcony delineated by two columns surmounted by Corinthian capitals. Celestial beings, each occupying an edifice, are shown dressed in different garbs and wearing different headgears. Some hold garlands, some flowers, and others are shown in Anjali Mudra. So this is the heaven or the celestial realm. And then we come to the underworld and the earth. So the world of crawling creatures, Urga, Naga, and Pananga, the two Corinthian capitals on either side, demarking the scene, emerge from this world. Although the hoods are broken, the coils of Nagas winding around the drum of the column evoke the world of crawling creatures, meaning Nagas, or the underworld. 3 or 4 coin pots, one damage, are sculpted on the bottom frame and the panel of the panel and represent the treasures guarded by the Nagas in the subterranean world. So you can see here pots, and the coins are round because during this period, Kushana period, the Kushan coins are all round, unlike the early depictions where you have the punch mark coins, which are characterized by irregular shape. So you can see the Naga and the Naga hood here, and the Corinthian capitals. And then we have a depiction of a female figure emerging from the underworld, clad in a long-sleeved tunic and wearing rich earrings, bracelets, a necklace, and an elaborate hairdress with curly fringe, and a knot is significant in this respect. The Akanta sleeve, shaped like cobra hoods, appearing behind her head, are suggestive of a nature as Nagini. Her hands, making the gesture of veneration, indicate that she was also there to venerate the Buddha descending to the earthly realm after an absence of 3 months and 7 days. And then we see Utpalavarṇā. Then we come to the earthly realm, represented by 2 bhikṣuṇī, easily recognizable thanks to the short-sleeved tunic covering the shoulders, long ears with pierced ear balls, well-pronounced buttocks and bosom. So here is the transformation of Utpalavarṇā, and she is blue in color as she should be. So this is how the descent of the Buddha is depicted, and also the transformation of Utpalavarṇā as a bhikṣuṇī. As I told you earlier, some parts are missing on either side of the sculpture. If we find one day what was there, is certainly Utpalavarṇā arriving in a chariot. So you can see it's exactly what is happening here. She is taking the form of a woman or a bhikṣuṇī or a nun. I will end with this sculpture, which was not published first when I wrote the article, which I came to know later, which is now published in the book When West Met East, which is a beautiful Gandhāran sculpture. We go one by one. The pearl and bead border here, which is a typical Greek border. And on the top, in this relief, the Buddha preaching to the gods is symbolically represented in the upper field of the panel by a tree and an empty throne covered with a richly decorated fabric. So we have to imagine, we have Brahma on the left and Indra on the right, and Buddha is depicted with the throne and the tree. So he preached. And then this is another sculpture from Gandhara, where you can see Buddha in the heaven of 33 gods, Brahma on the left and Indra on the right hand side with the other gods preaching, and below you have Sariputra and Moggallana writing down the sermon of the Buddha. So I come back to the relief to tell us that Buddha started descending from the heaven. We have the footprints of the Buddha. And then we have Buddha. The story continues below with the Buddha now showing anthropomorphically in human form, standing on the middle ladder. The two footprints have already shown the viewer that he has now reached the earthly realm, or the world of human beings, or Manushya-loka. The two gods, whose divinity is indicated by the halo behind the head, descend with him. In all Gandharan sculptures, Indra descends from the ladder on the left, and Brahma from the ladder from that one on the right of the Buddha. So you can see Brahma in ascetic attire and Indra in a princely attire. The terrestrial domain of this sculpture is delimited by the large palm trees to tell us that now the incident is no more in the heaven, but these things are taking place in the on the earth. The king wearing an elaborate Jatamakuta, adorned with a jewel, is shown mounted in a quadriga, meaning a chariot driven by 4 horses, accompanied by 2 women as chariot drivers, each holding one of the reins, is also the bhikṣuṇī Utpalavarṇā, having assumed the appearance of a Chakravartin by magic. So you can see here the quadriga, and also Chakravartin, the man in the middle, is a woman who has now transformed into a man. And another sculpture from Gandhara, which it shows the same event, where you can see the quadriga, the chariot, and the person in the middle with the Abhay Mudra is Utpalavarṇā as a man or as a universal king, surrounded by his women. And then the king dress as the same as Chakravartin in the chariot. To the left of the nun could also be Utpalavarṇā as Chakravartin before transforming rather herself into a bhikṣuṇī again. And then here we have the Buddha flanked by Indra and Brahma, stands in the right 3/4 view, performing Abhay Mudra while looking at the bhikṣuṇī Utpalavarṇā with his head tilted down. As we have seen, Utpalavarṇā, seeing the Blessed One, took her original form, becoming a nun or a bhikṣuṇī. She is undoubtedly the person who touches the feet of the Blessed One, as indicated by the feminine hips and buttocks and the diaphanous overdress revealing her femininity. So here is again the sequence of a man becoming a woman, or rather a woman becoming a man, and again a woman that we can see. So here we have that. So it's quite clear that the Gandharan artists knew the story, and they really wanted to depict this very important story in the life of the Buddha, a bhikṣuṇī who transformed herself into a man to venerate the Buddha, and he changed herself into a, to a man first, and then seeing the Buddha, he became, or she became, a woman again. So it's a beautiful sculpture where you can see a man becoming a woman. So I just, to finish, I'm showing you this sculpture once again, right? So we have this sculpture found in Sarderi by my Japanese and Pakistani colleagues. For the moment, the middle panel is not yet found. If we find it one day, so we have the realm of the Prateke Buddhas, world of the Devas, world of crawling creatures, and world of Manusha. And if you are lucky enough, if we find the middle panel, it would look like this, where Buddha preaching in the heaven of Indra, and then Buddha descending 3 staircases, on the middle one for Buddha, one on the left for Brahma, one on the right for Indra. And then we should see Chakravartin getting down from the chariot and taking the form of bhikṣuṇī and venerating the Buddha. So this is the whole story of Utpalavarṇā that I wanted to tell you from the sacred text, and also from different kinds of iconographies, not only from Gandhara, but in the Bharut, Sanchi, and also in Pala period, and then in Sri Lanka, and then Southeast Asia, and even in Japan and other places. So she played a very important role. It's very interesting to discuss after what sort of a role she played. I end here, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions about this. I beg you to forgive me if it is too complicated to understand, but I thought anybody working on Buddhism and also the role of women in Buddhism, this story is extremely fascinating. Thank you very much.